Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SNX Radio. I'm Coley, and I'm going to be your host into the unknown tonight. Anyway, I just wanted to apologize before the show. Unfortunately, our guest could not figure out his audio, but we have him rescheduled. He's working on it. We tried for like an hour, so I do apologize for that. And for everybody coming back, thank you so much. And we have a very special guest. But before I would go into that, I wanted to say hello to chat. I saw chat was popping, so I definitely. Oh, Blaze, thank you so much for coming. Spider Bites in the house. Mad Paximus, always nice to see you guys. Kurt W75. Kurt, you missed your. I guess you sent me a message on that already. Never mind. Yeah, Steve Mara. He did a really great interview earlier. Chiru Sounds, great to see you back. I saw you before. Yeah, Bigfoot Dwarf, great, and welcome over here. Your channel was great. I was able to check it out the other night. That's awesome. Spiritual Ascension. Hey girl. Everybody needs a spiritual ascension. I'm not joking. And we have, if I missed anybody, I apologize, but I'm trying just to get through and make sure. So if I missed you, I do apologize. I didn't mean to do that, but let's go into Mr. James. If you don't know James Gilliland, you're about to find out. He's been on the show several times before. He's given great videos. I encourage you to go back and look at the shows he's done. He's become such a good friend. Anyway, a little bit of a background. I won't go into too much. I'll let him kind of introduce himself. But he's a minister, counselor, an international known lecturer, bestseller author with books. He has The Reunion of Source, Becoming Gods, The Ultimate Soul Journey, James, and also the one that he will be talking about, The Awakening of James, which came out in December. So yeah, he's got a lot. If you haven't seen him, he's done stuff all over ABC, Fox News, BBC. He has a great show over on Rumble and I guess on YouTube now, As You Wish. So if you have not seen that on Saturday nights, and he's also on BBS Radio. So definitely check him out. And the ECETI Ranch. If you guys don't know what the ECETI Ranch is, you have to check into that too. But I'll let James explain because nobody does it better than you. Welcome back, James. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me back on.
It's always a pleasure.
Don't.
I know that feeling. It's like, yeah, I'll contact you again sometime. But
Yeah.
you know, you really are. You've done some amazing things, and you. I give you so much credit, especially through the Twitter show and stuff. Like you're just, I mean, like you're just solid like that. I'm like, man, no, and you've done. I mean, to be attacked and you kind of forget sometimes until, and I got that. Like, it was right in the limelight for a second. And I was like, man, I forgot how bad this sucks. So for all the stuff that you go through, I really appreciate it. I really do.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. What's really weird is that when I started this, I was on an intense spiritual journey. And I had, a couple near-death experiences. I had Mary appearing to me, other masters, and all these things. And Bob Brown over at the International UFO Congress wanted me to come and speak about UFOs. And I said, well, they do tie into all this, but I'm not an expert on UFOs. And although I've had contact since I was a little kid, but anyway, I thought about it, and he says, you have the knowledge of all the higher dimensions. You have the evidence, you have the photographs of masters appearing there, videos of ships interacting with people. You've got it. I thought about, we had everything, and I go, this is what they've been looking for. This is what disclosure has really been looking for, the real footage with the witnesses and everything combined, undeniable proof and everything. And I found out the hard way that it's a very competitive field full of a lot of shills and a lot of posers and a lot of planned opposition. And to the point of where it's replete all the way to the top. And then so I went and I started doing lectures in the conferences and things like that. And the conference presenters would come up to me, or the people putting on the conference, and they'd go, God, people either really love you or they really hate you. And I said, well, they either really love or hate themselves, because I'm just a mirror, and then I realized that when you're authentic, you piss off people's demons. You reflect
Oh,
back to
yeah.
them their lack of authenticity, and a lot of their stories are just made up, and they've borrowed a lot of my information and
I know.
added it to their biographies, and it's just unbelievable. But
Oh, that makes me so mad when they do that to you. I'm like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah, they read my newsletter verbatim and say it's a channeled messages from some Palladian lover that they're talking.
They're so crazy. Yeah, I had a lady, and it wasn't somebody that you would even think would do this. Teresa Tyndall. She was hooked up with Stephen Bassett for a while, and took. I have all the screenshots and everything. Took my whole story. Sat there and listened to it. I'm like, dude, what is your deal? You people, like, you're crazy. Yeah. You're legitimately crazy. Like, to do
these
that
people,
stuff.
they came to the ranch. A lot of these people came to the ranch. They saw the UFOs. They appeared. They put on a show. They did their thing, and the next morning, in front of witnesses, they go, oh, "I didn't see anything." Then the very next morning, and I'm going, "Wow, this is like either total mind control, or something else." They don't want to admit that it was.
He's not going to be coming on my channel anymore. No, I promise. And it had for sitting, and I was like, I was going to say something too, but I didn't. He's just not coming. He knows that as well as I do. But yeah. I think that's so stupid. Why go to the ranch, experience all this, and be like, oh my gosh, and then you have amnesia, but yet you want to be a part of disclosure.
I mean,
disclosure of what? You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like the International UFO Reporting Center. The guy's a Russian translator for NSA, basically. But that being aside,
why would he not be?
People are calling him from the ranch and saying, "Hey, these ships are here. One just landed on the mountain. It's doing all kinds of crazy stuff." And he would go, "Yeah, right." And he'd hang up on him, and then all these people were complaining to me. Yeah, I gave him my story, and as soon as they found out it was Mount Adams where this was going on, he just basically hung up on him. So there's a major compromise there. But I mean, I was at an event, and I went outside and I told them exactly when and where the ships would come in, and they did. And these guys went into full-blown meltdown, saying, "That's not a ship. That's not a ship." This huge triangle ship comes with this bright orange ship behind it. They go right down the river there in Vegas, and at a big conference. And one guy filmed it, and he goes, "I have the best footage. They told me they're going to come at this time." I said, "No, they didn't. In my presentation, I said they'd come at that time." And that's why he was out there with his camera. Excuse me, I got some bog in my throat, but he started bragging, "I got the best footage. I told everybody when they were going to come," and he didn't, and so he went to show the footage, and it was erased off his camera.
Oh boy.
So the ETs they're not into ego. People are on these big ego trips and things like that. You're not going to make contact. You're probably not going to get the footage unless you're just lucky. And it's funny just watching this transpire. And I've always taken a very spiritual approach after the near-death experiences and studying with lamas and elders around the world and yogis and things like that. I took a spiritual approach to things. I was coming from the top down, and a lot of people like coming from the bottom up. It's everything from abductions to getting body parts, a human peel-off, to nuts and bolts and back engineering, and things like that. And if you don't agree with them, you get kicked out of their camp, basically. But it's more of an all the above question. Like everything's going on. It's everything from abductions to back engineering to higher dimensional beings, all the way up to God beings, beings that are one with God, whole civilizations of 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensional beings. And they don't want to talk about any of that because they can't access it. They can't connect because they haven't, there's just some moral and integrity challenge, things going on that they're not being contacted, basically. So
Oh, yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. So
rampant.
it is amazing watching that, and in being in the UFO community for like 40 years, basically. I've been blackballed pretty much out of it the past 10 or so years, but the
Because you were at all the conferences before.
yeah, I was at all the conferences. I was a keynote speaker. I had thousands of people coming to these events, and so they had the biggest run at the UFO International Conference there, the Congress, the big meeting there. I had the biggest run on DVDs. People are just flocking to get the DVD after the talk. And I actually phased out on stage.
We showed it. Like a couple of times before.
Beings were appearing behind me and everything. And after then I was blackballed. It's just like.
And I tried to get those documents for you, and they're on there. If you guys look, if anybody can help us get these documents, because I contacted, it was what's his name, Alejandro, or he was the one. And so I reached out to him, and then I asked him, like, hey, I just interested because your video, when it says, and I didn't say anything about anything else, but when it goes, it shows like it's a live link, and then it goes to a dead link. And then we've shown the picture, and I've seen the picture of where you can see something even behind you, like you're literally phasing.
Yeah.
And everybody stands up and applauds, and then you never get invited back, and then now nobody can get a hold of the video. Go figure.
It's the same thing, with the old group that was running it. The same thing happened, but anyway, I was showing fieldless energy technology, anti-countergravity, everything. And I know scientists that have that technology, but they can't get it out right now because it's like a death sentence still. It's like, but I was doing this back in the 90s, and we were being threatened, and his lab was blown up, and they stole his car and a few other things. But it's pretty crazy. Even the what do you call it? The free energy groups out there. Same thing. It's
the
very
Greers.
Yeah. It's pretty bad, but it's just unbelievable. It is such a controlled. People have no idea what a controlled narrative it is. Just like it's been like Charlie Kirk 2.12 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, really.
For a long
so
time.
True.
Yeah,
so true.
Yeah.
I don't think, it's disappointing, because when you first get into this, you're looking, and I'm like, you know what? Somebody has answers. And a lot of these people I looked up to, like, I legitimately looked up to them, like, wow, like, and then, oh man,
you find their CIA pedophiles, and everybody.
Yeah, they're creepy. They're doing things. They're sending pictures they should not send around of other people. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on at these conferences. Steve Mara was just talking about this last show. More and more people are speaking out about it. I said, no, there's a big chunk of us that know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it is coming out now. Their past is catching up with them, and
it's not like we haven't tried to tell people what's going on either. Nobody would listen.
It's really weird because they get the pulpit, they rise to the top. You can see that in everything. The ones that are compromised and doing the work of the controllers, you might say, and they're paid off. Those guys have these podcasts are off the scale. They've got millions of listeners and everything else. And I watch them just like rise to the top, and there's no beef. There's no meat. They just have a story. And as weird as the story can get,
it's not even entertainment. It's not even entertaining when they tell it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's why I said there's no disclosure anymore. There's entertainment, and it's a $1 billion industry.
Well, they're not even. And I think we're naturally, like, you're naturally funny. You tell jokes. I naturally think I'm funny. And I tell jokes. It's not that I'm on comedy. It's just how I communicate. But to me, like, that's kind of entertaining. People bantering. But these have like nothing. I can't. I don't understand. It's like, help me to understand what
Almost
people
like
are
they have some
watching.
little spinning wheel that hypnotizes everybody, in
Right,
the
right, 'cause
background subliminally, and go, "This is real. This is the
this
only thing that's real," or I don't know what it is,
you
but
are getting sleepy. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. It's something though. You can't tell me that they're and especially with all the graphics and stuff, and this is like the dullest I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Well, here's the thing. Back when Art Bell was around, uh, I was going on his show a lot, and I kept sending him footage, and I was bringing on triple PhD Boeing engineers, Skunk Works people, Lockheed, all these Lockheed people, all these different people, Air Force base commanders, air traffic controllers, everybody that came to the ranch, like literally thousands and thousands of people have come to the ranch and they've seen the ships themselves. And that's a real thorn in their ass, basically, because when they start attacking me, they have this army that comes after them saying, "I've been there. Why are you doing this? You're exposing yourself." And it's funny to watch it, but I just decided I was going to make it personal for people so they could have their own personal experience, and then nobody can take that away from them. And so I just kept doing
Yeah.
that and building a base, that way, and it really helped out. But it's really sad when you are authentic. You have everybody coming out. All the agencies are after you. They're weaponized. They do everything they can to shut you up. I mean, everything from I've had bullets whiz by my head. I've had my car sabotaged, brake lines cut.
Yeah, I've had my
You
window
name it.
busted out. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
you name
know.
it. Like everything.
Satire, yeah.
And why is this happening to these other guys? They're at the top of the gamut, obviously they're not a threat, because a lot of them are just posers and they're just telling stories, and then, they aren't really going the distance. But
I had my phone explode from a document I downloaded, and then I take it, and it just literally leaves my hands for, like, 30 seconds. Then, all of a sudden, the SIM card is missing, and I even pried it open with it was like a Google Pixel, and I was like, "This is crazy. This is cra" it's just like things like that, your bank account, you'll be getting a new ATM card, a new credit card in the mail every single month because you will be charged for something. I don't know, anywhere from
Exactly.
pairs of
We've been
Yeezys.
demonetized. They've totally debanked us
Oh,
a couple of
yeah.
times, and they send everybody. Even the IRS comes after you. Even though you're an authentic church and you have the EIN number and
Yeah.
everything, they're coming after you.
You better just count on being audited
Yeah.
by every agency.
Which they
No,
don't even have the right to do, by their own
no.
rules and regulations. So it's
They don't play by those. There's a whole
no,
set of rules that they have, and
they're
people
wrong.
don't realize that they even can do a quarter of what they can do. And when they listen to it, if my local police do what they do, just imagine what's done on a larger
Yeah.
I mean, come
And
on.
that's been a thing with me because there's a lot of really wonderful people. They're brilliant people, and some are behind bars. Some of my friends just got out, behind bars, and only because they challenged the system and they brought up some facts
Yep.
and figures and things like that were irrefutable, and the hammer came down on them. And you hear all these white hat
I have a
movements,
buddy too, yeah.
all these white hats and all these things saying tomorrow, it's all going to happen. We're all going to be free tomorrow. But meanwhile, these agencies are going full blast, because they're scared. They know it's coming down. The hammer's coming down on them. And they're just coming after everybody, full bore. It's unbelievable. Yeah, because they're kind of a caged animal. They're backed in a corner and they know their time's going to be up soon. But I think the white hats really should take away their teeth. Look, till this is over, there's going to be no more teeth. You're not going to come after people and hassle them and do all these things.
Oh God, yeah, I know. And if you did this stuff in normal society, if that was your neighbor that did they would be locked up. I mean, just because they're doing this virtually doesn't make it any less. I mean, they belong in there's padded rooms they belong in. Oh my
Well,
God.
I used to document everything. When they started attacking me, I'd document all the attacks.
Oh,
And then all of a sudden, all these people would send me a whole wave of information about what's really going on. And then I would post what they said, their attacks on me. I would post those. And then I'd say, is this the kind of person you want to follow and be your guru, that's behaving,
mhm.
spreading gossip and slander and all this other stuff. And,
Yeah.
and, after a while, they're begging me to quit. First they're threatening to sue me, and then they're begging me to quit. And I said, you guys just need to quit. I said, you're giving me the ammo. I'm using your words, and posting them out there. I don't, I'm so far beyond needing any acceptance and approval outside of myself. I don't care what people think about me. I'm good with Creator, and I'm telling the truth. And I feel, and if I screw up and say something off, I'll admit it. I'll go, yeah, that was what somebody else told me, because I kind of stick to my own experience usually. But
Yeah.
if I do say something else, I'll go, well, this person says this and this and this, and I'll give them credit, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, but I try to stick to my own experience and my own knowledge base, but it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. It's just like, and it's getting worse, and now I just have a little one-liner, sorry for pissing off your demons. I'm sorry
I
for
always
being
say,
authentic. You
sorry,
might
your
want to try it.
programming is shorting out. Like, sorry, you're short circuiting. Like, it's your programming.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're too stupid to realize it. Because I sure is that I at least realize when I'm short circuiting, there's a reason, and I step away. It's
Yeah.
like you have to realize it's like I don't know. What
Well,
irritates
here's
us
what's
about others is something about ourselves.
yeah. Here's the thing. Basically, when you have 40 years of documented evidence of contact, and you've brought this out and then been censored and shut out, you have to ask yourself, who are these other guys at the top of the food chain? Why weren't they censored and cut out? And you have to start asking, are they planned opposition? Are they shills? Are they posers and non-threatening? Why are they at the top? And I've watched this over and over again. And we can see it. It's a whole different subject, but you can see it with Candace Owens. You can watch the Candace Owens thing. All she's doing is asking questions. And she's got a large fan base, and people are sending her tips, and she has a tip hotline. And all she's doing is asking questions. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And giving people an opportunity to say, hey, that's not real. That's not. And she's just asking questions. Well, all these people are attacking her. And
Yeah, I know.
totally, it's
God
amazing.
forbid you
And,
ask a question like that. Yeah.
yeah. And then so all of a sudden you see all this money, coming to them for whoever can take out Candace probably has a big bonus round, coming their way. But
really, she's in danger. And you know what?
yeah,
I think if
is,
something
yeah.
happened to her, that there's so many people, and that's the problem. People don't realize it. There's people out there, you're right, James, love or hate, but the people who hate me, like they hate they don't just like hate somebody, like they want you to be like run over and reversed and run over. I mean, like there's a abnormal level. And can
Yeah.
you imagine she's got so much of that? Like I would worry, would the police even help her? Like are the police gonna come, or is she gonna get a fair investigation if something happens to her? No, not a chance.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
I think she has other protection,
I
unseen
hope
protection.
so.
I know
She
I
needs it.
do. And I've seen it in action, but there's a lot of protection in the unseen. And I know she's got people, even the physical, her husband, I'm sure, is looking after her, and other people as well. But yeah, I mean, now she's gone so public, that would be suicide to try to hurt her now, would be suicide. We'd all know who did it, instantly, that they would have no narrative left if they did that. But I'm just amazed at how they're it's they're coming after her she's not making accusations. She's just asking questions.
Yeah.
And they come after her and they put all these words in her mouth and try to character assassinate her and everything. And then they get their little bonus for doing that. And it's unbelievable. I mean, I've had people come to me and make offers, and I've turned them down.
Yeah.
They will give you the black card, and you'll have 10,000 a month to do whatever you want with for us for life.
Oh God.
You just have to be part of the controlled narrative, And I said, I don't think so,
Mine was a book deal. I'd make 50 cents off of each book sold, and then it was going to be made into a movie, and then it was all the insight on the Rendlesham Forest, and it involved some names. And I was like, I think that's the only reason I got platformed over on X was they thought I was going to take the deal, would not take it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's funny because the thing about, I've always tried to be in impeccable integrity, just the highest integrity you can. Now, I'm going to make a mistake now and then. Everybody does, but that's the goal. And I think Candace's on that same role, but and she's just asking questions, and I think that's insane because in a good way, she's bringing out all the trolls, all the planned opposition. She's bringing out all the posers and the shills and the people that are not who they say they are, and they're all coming out, and it's just like she's exposing the whole rat nest there, which is great. And it's kind of like the same thing I was doing, where just by being authentic and asking questions, people were getting pissed.
Yeah.
And I was just asking simple questions. Well, how'd the moon get here? Ancient history says there's one moon, and then there's no moon, and then there's two moons. And the moon has got to be hollow or it would have flown off into space, and it's a terraforming planet, which I've told people since day one. And it's hollow and it's full of technology. And there's on the dark side of the moon, there's all kinds of bases and things like that. But, we have footage from Russia where these ships are going into the moon and this crater opens up. And the ship goes in and it closes and looks like just a crater. I think I sent that to you once.
The moon
when the ship goes into the moon.
Yeah. No, I think you did. I actually think you did. There was I know you've sent me some great pictures. I was like, I wonder, I bet I have them in a file because I know that I have that one of you phasing out. I should look and see really quick what I have.
Yeah. And then it's like I've been talking about the inner Earth folks and everything. We've had contact with the inner Earth folks, with the Pleiadians, the Orion Counts of Light, the Syrians, the feline beings, the Andromedans, all of them, the councils. And that's what my new book's about, The Awakening of James. It talks about, as a kid, I was taken before these councils and there was a plan that was being worked out. And I didn't know what the plan was. They just kept bringing me before the councils, and they had a master with me, usually really tall, and they would talk about the plan. And then, I talked about all the different groups, the different councils, in the book and everything. And then I tied it into the teachings of Jesus, the true teachings of Jesus and the divine feminine, and how it all connects. It's all, we live in a multidimensional universe, and it's just not like Michal Ledwith calls it a hamburger universe. They have God, Satan, and the hamburger in the middle is us, and that's kind of how a lot of people believe, heaven, hell, and we're in the middle somehow. But it's so far beyond that. I mean, there are unseen negative influences, and that's in the self-mastery ambassador training. We teach people how to deal with that, how to clear their space, create sacred space, and how to heal these and move them on. And people don't do that in the UFO community. And the ones that are saying it's all good, it's all love and light and everything else, a lot of them are actually possessed and they don't even know it. Yeah. So in ignorance or willingly, they took on these other beings that are not what they think they are. And
there's a cult that runs through this community. It's very dark.
It's a mixed bag. There are people that are legit, and there are people that are actually full on working with reptilians and demonic type energies. And some don't even know it. Some are doing it willingly, and some don't even know they're being influenced because they were never taught. They were never taught who's who in the universe and how to maintain sacred space and shield yourself and how to heal unseen negative influences. And they just jumped into it. And we have people coming to the ranch all the time. We got to pull everything off them and explain and then teach them how to keep themselves clear and things like that. And it's getting old because there are people in the UFO community. They're just creating portals and open doors for anything to come in and doing their invocations or whatever. And some of their invocations are straight out of their chants to like Shanti and Shani, which is known as the Saturn and the Luciferian energy. It's tied into all that. They're doing these invocations and chants and stuff like that. And I go, you don't even know who you're chanting to. You got to realize some of these invocations you're doing are calling in some very nasty beings, and
they're opening a doorway.
Yeah. So they don't have the knowledge, the base, the foundation. Because I went and I studied with all the different elders, and I was initiated by yogis and lamas and a lot of Native American elders and Hawaiian elders too. And I just went in there. I already had my connection. I already, had the 2 near-death experiences, and I already had my own personal connection with Creator, God, Great Spirit, whatever you want to call it. So when I went in there, I just listened. I didn't go in there as I know everything and this is how it is and conquering Christian with a sword or I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm the ultimate authority on everything.
Yeah. I mean, I went in there and I listened to them and I go, wow, this is the same. They have different names for different things and different entities who are archetypes, but basically it's the same. It's very, very similar, and people need to drop the ego and the spiritual righteousness or whatever and start sitting with these people, and you'll find a lot of them are very loving, very joyous, very enlightened beings. They may have different words for different levels or different deities, but the energy is the same. And through these people, I actually learned how to heal the unseen negative influences, who they were and everything else, because in the astral world, anything goes. So, you're creating your reality from, a lot of people will use drugs to blow themselves into the astral level and think they had a spiritual experience, but they really had an astral experience. And you can have pleasant experiences and you can have some very unpleasant experiences there as well. So if you're not trained if you don't have your inner sensitivity working to sense the kind of energies you're working with and the intentions of the beings, you can get in trouble real easy. And so the people that haven't been trained, I'm the enemy, like, how dare you?
Do you think it's like an entity that's saying that, or what do you think? Is it something in them, or it's something human? Like, is it something they're channeling, or what is it?
Well, see, a lot of them actually kind of got taken. I hate to say it, but they opened the door to certain things and these things hate me, basically. They don't. Well,
yeah.
They hate me. But, they're unseen negative influences and entities and things like that. And so, they, because I can see them and I know who they are and I know how to deal with them, they start barking through the person. They start coming through that person. And there's a thing about enlightenment, the closer you get to enlightenment, the more the demons rear their ugly heads. And so you're going to be challenged all the way. And so you need a foundation. Or you got
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you need a foundation if you're going to do some of this stuff. And and you need to know who you're inviting in, and the benevolent ones will protect you. I mean, they'll totally protect you. And so, how do you get rid of negative ETs? You call on the benevolent ETs, or you can call on the masters. They can do it too. Jesus, Babaji, Mary, Kuan Yin, Buddha, they all work. They all are operating on similar levels, in 5D on up, and they can clear these energies out. But, I had a guy come to me and one time he got really upset because I told this story, but I didn't give his name or anything. But he had three reptilians attached to him. And when he came in, they started barking through him, and they started saying all this stuff like, you need to know, we have information, you need to know, your life's in danger. They're really trying to bait me in. And I had to keep saying, you have nothing. You have nothing I need, nothing I want. I want nothing from you. And I was not going to agree or contract with them or anything. I said nothing. And I said, in fact, you need to go. And I called in Baba G to help out. And because he was the one coming in at the time, I could feel his energy coming in. And these beings knelt all the way to the ground. They bowed to the ground. They wouldn't look up.
Wow.
And then they backed out and left, so they honor the masters, the reptilians and all of them, these darker energies, if they're just astral beings or whatever, grays, reptilians, whatever, when you call these higher dimensional beings in, they back out. And so people need to learn how to create sacred space and how to heal unseen negative influences. And
absolutely.
Yeah, because you're going to get sucker punched by these entities.
Oh my God.
They're just waiting for you to open the door and make an agreement with them, basically.
And it is too. And it's so easy. And I tell people, I'm like, you have to be careful. Like the deal, like, I mean, you have to give your consent, and it's not necessarily written down with a pen and paper. Like, let's not even go there. Like the deal's on the table. Like, and people are like, I'm so shocked when I see them get platformed in the way that they do. And then I see their narrative completely change. And I'm like, bought and paid for.
Yeah.
You know it as well as I do. That's exactly how they work.
Yeah.
I mean, a little taste of that growth, and then they'll, bought and paid for.
They have to stay relevant. And so they have to change their story, and it has to be more outrageous they can keep the attention going to them, and it's kind of sad. And it's really simple. Basically, the truth is, believe it or not, is really simple. And it's really outrageous at the same time, but it's really simple. It's like there's universal law, which is universal peace, brother, sisterly love, individual freedom, and prosperity for all. And then there are those that go against universal law, and there's love and there's fear. There's division and unity. It's real basic. Mm-hmm. And once we have the basics down, we can go, hey, that doesn't fit into universal law. This is division. You're telling me to hate this person because they're of some other race or religion or belief. Well, you're working for the dark side. A lot of the old religions are based on that. You have to do a jihad on non-believers. The Quran and the Talmud, all that stuff, it's written in there. And so where does that come from? That's division. That's preaching, violence and death and things like that. That's a death cult. That's not, where's the love and the joy and the bliss and the service to others? That's not in there. And people need to wake up and realize, a lot of these experiences we had in the ancient past were with beings that were not who they said they were.
Exactly.
And so we had a lot of little g gods in ancient history running around the planet doing things. And some were benevolent and some were in service to others. And they aligned with universal law, and some weren't. And some were self-serving. And some were genocidal, And if you look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, you can see clearly there's a line drawn there. You have the jealous, wrathful gods, the genocidal gods, and no man can appease. And you have to do sacrifices to them and everything else. And then, when Jesus came, he brought the new covenant. And he said, no, we aren't doing that anymore. Those guys are gone. We're working with the all-loving, all-forgiving God. And a lot of other masters came to other cultures too with the same message. But, the old was in power, and they didn't want that message to get out, because they built their temples and they built their churches, and they were cashing in. One of the warnings Jesus said, they will use my face to build their temples and gather their gold, and he warned people about it. He said, no, you make your own personal connection with God. And that's what he taught. Stop looking externally. for everything, for your
Yeah.
love, joy, and acceptance and approval. But I'm going off on a rant. I'm going biblical, but it's like it's all
There's so
tied
much
together.
truth in it. Yeah, it is tied together, and there's such a division between the spiritual side, and there's clearly a spiritual side to this. I mean, any way you look
Yeah,
at it.
it's a multidimensional universe.
Yeah.
And when you get past the fourth dimension where anything goes, I mean, you have everything in there from kind of messed up people to reptilians, royal reptilians, grays, demonics. You got all that stuff in the lower 4D, and you bust through the psychic barrier and you get into 5D on up. That's when you're running into all the benevolent stuff, the really cool stuff. And so it's all happening. And then you go all the way to the source, which is just pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. It's a golden white light. It's a realm where you're one, you're unique, yet you're one at the same time, which is a paradox, but it's not, because now you're a light being and there's a greater light surrounding you and consciousness and surrounding you. And that's what happened to me. And then I had a conversation with it. But so I already have my connection. I know where I'm going. I know, I'm not worried about any of that.
Yeah, you've already 2 near-death experiences. I mean, like, I mean,
yeah,
I
the
bet
first
you're
one when
not.
I was 5 years old, Mary kept coming to me in the hospital and healed me several times. And we're not Catholic. Actually, neither is she. She's
Right.
universal being. She loves children. And but that was the first one. And then beings kept coming to me, and I'd call on her or others to get rid of them. So even as from 5 years on, I was having all kinds of contacts with benevolent beings and not so benevolent beings. And then luckily I learned, I went through the teachings in Christ and Tibetan Foundation. I studied with lamas and yogis, and I got a lot of tools under my belt, because it was rough. I was seeing things attached to people. If you go into a restaurant with a bar and there's all these entities waiting for people to come in, and they attach to them, and that's the monkey on your back, and it's going, one more drink, come on. And they're trying to get their hit vicariously through you. And then you go out and crash and have an accident, and then you join them. It's like people don't realize that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And you do have a monkey on your back, when you're doing a lot of drugs and things like that. And so you got to clear that stuff out.
It weakens. I mean, that's like, they look for those vulnerabilities, and that's the way they
Exactly.
latch on and go in and everything. Should I play that about your book? Because your book, Awakening James,
Yeah, go ahead and play
Awakening of
that.
James, yes. And then I'm going to try and figure out, because I don't know. I think I still have the things from my phone, so I can get the website, but I'll go ahead and I'm
People
going
can go
to
to
add
our
this.
website and see all the other footage too.
Well, I'm used to your old website, and I'm like one of those creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So, but I'll see. I'll see. They're
We had
always
to redo
great.
it because it was totally hacked, and people were trying to make donations and they couldn't, and all these things were happening, and so we had to go through the whole website, and redo it.
Looks great.
Yeah, I really like it because it answers all the questions. It comes from firsthand experience, and it talks about all the different dimensions. It actually covers the true teachings of Jesus that were coming out of the Ethiopian Bibles, which are, I think, 82 verses 66, and covers, the feminine, the divine feminine, and how that was shut out, turned into a patriarchal system, which was never meant to be. And the imbalance, that we're going through, why we're so imbalanced, and how it came about. But it just covers almost everything. And then that, if you combine that with the other books I've written, there's so much information in there. It's
I was looking at it, so because before it was hard to see the writing, so I wanted to see it. Yeah, they did an awesome job. That's awesome. It's now available. And can you tell everybody where they can find?
Yeah, if you go to lulu.com, you can get it right now. And if you go on, it's also in it's in an ebook, and it's in even has a hardcover one that's a little more expensive. But in about 9 days, it'll be on Amazon. There's
Awesome.
kind of a waiting period, and so we just got them all they needed to get it on Amazon. It'll be on Amazon. The other books should be on Amazon as well. So it's coming out, and it's the thing about it is it's a game changer. When you read this book, you go, I knew it. Like even Grok did a thing on it, and I was amazed at
Oh, wow. Said
the
good
write-up
things?
that Grok did. If you type in, the awakening of James in Grok and listen to the story, it goes, finally somebody, with firsthand experience is destroying the old crap, all the old nonsense and deceptions, and it was really good. I can't even repeat it. I was blown away at how positive it was. But
because I tried looking it up on Google, and Google acts like it doesn't exist, and I'm like, I know I have the right title.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that is not interesting.
No, I'm kind of like,
there has to be something, James, because you said that I would check into Google, because when I put it in there, like I said, it did not come up, and I put the exact title. I knew it was in December 26 or 25, excuse me. And so I put all that in there, and then it didn't come up, but it will show up on that side. That's interesting.
Yeah. If you go to ECETI.org, like ECETI.org, you can get it. But, there's been like I was saying, that just proves my point. There's been a long history of algorithms set up to block us, and the main ones have been blocking us, and it's just getting old, but it's all going to come out anyway. It's going to be a collector's item. So.
But let's hope it doesn't go that. I mean, but for real,
it's obvious they don't want you to know the information. It's very obvious, because a lot of people are going to lose control, and a lot of people are going to become enlightened and empowered, after reading the book. They're going to go, okay, it all makes sense. And, it's going to answer a lot of questions. And there are a lot of questions, about got mosquitoes in here. Yeah, it's just.
Man, what's that like? It's so cold over here.
Yeah, it's pouring rain in here right now. It's just dumping, which is great because it's filling up all my catchment systems, and a little rough on the solar panels for generating power, but I just checked and we're good.
You're real outdoorsy. People don't realize James is out at the ranch. I see pictures like said, and he's out doing all of the work with the people right alongside of them. If anything, I think you're probably, when I see you usually running towards something, or like Peter sharing a picture, or like whatever, you're always a part of it.
Yeah, I'm like 24/7. I usually get up about 5 in the morning. I go out and film the ships. They're usually between 5 and 6. You see a lot of ships. And I go out and I film the ships, and then I go and make breakfast, and then get on it. And at night we go out and sky watch. And again, we're up till like 12, so I get about 5 hours sleep, but that's all I need basically. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I just keep going and going. I kind of.
I don't know how you do it. I'm like, oh man, picking coffee. I'm like, you do it all. I mean, that kind of work can get tiring, and you're right out there doing it.
Well, if you love what you do, it's not work.
Right. That's true.
That's true. It's all in your mind. And so I get a lot of younger people trying to help out sometimes, and they'll work for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then they're gone.
You're like, please don't.
Toast. Yeah. I gotta quit. And they can't be away from their phone that long. They gotta have their phone in there.
Oh, isn't that annoying? And when you're out there, that's the last thing that you should be. Leave those phones and that frequency behind. For sure.
Yeah, it is. It's I'm kind of. I don't know. I'm going to have to slow down a little bit, because I just been doing the Energizer Bunny for so long. And now I'm just kind of going, okay, where's the crew? Where's the people that want to get behind this and make it happen? But it's happening. I usually have a pretty good crew there at ECETI to get through the summer and the events and everything.
Oh, I bet. Well, if you ever need a volunteer for the summer, just let me know. I feel like it would be you would think tons of people would flock to it. But then on the other hand, you realize what's going on in this community,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh God.
I mean,
Do you
people
even
don't
want
realize.
them there? Do you even want some of these people there?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not on a spiritual journey and you're not
Don't
sincere
go.
and you just want to be a looky-loo, I wouldn't advise coming, especially because the energy is so high there. It'll bring up all your stuff. And that's what we need to do. We need to create sacred places for these higher dimensional beings to come to. That's why Mary and Kuan Yin and we have pictures of Babaji and all these other masters appearing there. Even the feline beings, they're 17-foot tall feline beings that are coming in, and they're the protectors of the gods in the ancient time, the little g gods. But, the Anunnaki, they were right alongside the Anunnaki. But and that's the thing about the Anunnaki too. Some of the Anunnaki were benevolent and some weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And they had turf wars going on, and a lot of them got stuck here. And the benevolent ones went on and they continued to evolve. And you can imagine, 450,000 years later, they're like 6-dimensional beings now. And they totally operate under universal law. So there's some people that want to say it's all negative. It's all Anunnaki. It's all they're going to enslave us. And the Anunnaki are reptilians. And you hear all these stories out there. And they're not true, really. I mean, we have the genes of the Anunnaki, basically. There was a human that was developing here naturally. And a lot of it was from the Denisovian man and Cro-Magnon and all that stuff. They tinkered with it and jumped the genes up with it. But, we were evolving naturally. We would have ended up where we're at anyway. Eventually, they just gave us a jump in evolution, and they needed things from us, so it was kind of like a trade-off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then
for me, the trade-off was worth it. Some people
Anunnaki wanted to kill us; they wanted to get rid of us, and others wanted to preserve us and let us continue to evolve. And when people evolved to a certain level, they took them with them. They took them on ships and took them with them. So there's a lot of hybrid humans that are returning right now to help out in the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth and this the great awakening, whatever you call it, the ascension process. But there's so many things going on that all the councils that are involved, 3i Atlas came through, freaked everybody out, pretty much trashed.
Oh, I know. God.
Controlled narrative. And
is it gone? Is this no longer
it might still be interacting a little bit, but it's pretty much gone. But I mean, when it did exactly what we said it would do. From
day one, I came on the show, I asked you about it, and you said that they're not going to have interactions like this. You pretty well nailed exactly what happened.
Yeah, I told people, look, that we connected with them. They're ambivalent.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting for all the warm fuzzy, and they were kind of ambivalent and said, no. I go, oh, you coming to finally, you coming to the earth? They said, no. I said, are you engaged? Are you going to engage humanity and put an end to this disclosure controlled narrative program? And they said, no. I said, but our presence will just being here will do that. And they said, no, we're not here. We're just here to monitor. We're gathering data. It's a major data gathering ship. We're going through the whole solar system. We're going to, monitor everything, gather our data and go. And basically that's what happened. And there's very little interaction with them. But now NASA's saying, oh yeah, we got messages and we did this. Look at us, everybody. Don't look in the skies overhead right now because
you should trust NASA for sure.
And they go, it's just a big rock and it's gone. Nothing to see here. Keep shopping. But we need to go outside and make our own contact, meditate, learn how to heal unseen negative influences, and put your intention on having contact with the benevolent ones, and just meditate and ask, raise your frequency so they can work with you. And you're going to have contact. And that's a message that, unfortunately, the majority of the UFO community hate. They do not want people making their own personal contact and raising
No.
their frequencies and seeing through the facades of what's happening. And so that's why they suppress that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they don't. It's
Well,
their
the same,
ego, and nobody wants anybody to do anything or get anywhere in this unless they thought of it or say they have their name stamped on it. It's not like what's best for everybody or let's get the information out there. It's like, oh, now we got the Roper poll or we got the Avi Loeb scale or we got
yeah,
the,
yeah.
it's like, come on, come on.
And I've sat down with very high level people. They know what's going on. There's people in Congress that have been briefed, and they know all about. We sent them copies of the ambassador training, which is on ECETI TV, and we sent copies to them, and so they could get it, and make sure they had it. And now, I always get her name wrong. Wait a second. Anna Paulina Luna. Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. She's and there's a couple other Congress people in there that are asking the right questions, and they just shut down when they say, "Are there any spiritually and technologically advanced beings that could actually come and help us out and help us to evolve, and take a quantum leap in evolution, in a positive manner?" And they just clam up. You notice they all just there's maybe a couple that would say, well, yes, there are, but we don't know about them. That's about all they would say.
Right.
So they're missing. It's a limited hangout, and the witnesses aren't really covering the higher dimensional aspect of this, and
They're out of their league.
A lot of them don't even know it exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're way out of their league on so much of it. And if you follow the wrong person, it's like, good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Yeah, and these people, I'm sure in the future I'll be meeting some of these people, and they have a foundation, and they know it's real, and they know the basics. They know there's Pleiadians, they know there's Greys, they know there's Andromedans and the Orion Counts of Light. They know some of that. They kind of know who they are, but they don't know anything about them, basically, or their cultures, their agendas, their natures. They don't have any of that information. And so, and a lot of them, it's an enigma to them. They haven't risen to the occasion. They haven't raised their frequencies. When you get to a certain frequency, you're going to have contact with these beings, and the other negative entities are going to try to shut you down too. So they come together. And so a lot of them, when they say, there are no UFOs, to them, there are no UFOs. They are searching for intelligent life, and so they won't be contacted. But, people with open minds and loving hearts and pure intent. That's a prerequisite for contact. You got to have a high level of integrity, and both. You got to just keep your critical thinking and have some degree of morality and high level of integrity, and they're going to find you, and especially if you're doing your prayers and meditation and you're making your own personal connection with Creator, you're going to have a contact eventually. The higher ones will find you.
Yeah.
As a warning, the lower ones will actually do all they can to sabotage that. And they'll go through people. They'll go through others, family, everything to sabotage your ascension, basically. That's the name of the game. And so,
oh God, they sure do.
And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but most of the government is working with the lower level stuff, and they don't want to rock the boat. Especially the war and disease profiteers. Making contact with these beings would end all that. They have med beds. They can heal everybody. They can grow new limbs. They have fearless energy. They can take care of all of our energy needs. There'd be no more pollution. They know more about God and the universe than any of us do. So that threatens the churches. So the status quo, but the status quo is a real threat to our continuance. If the status quo stays in charge, we are on the downward spiral evolution, and it's going to get ugly.
Yeah. It really will. If it goes at the pace it's going, and you know what? This is the crazier part. Is used to hear people say, "Oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better," but I hear less and less. Does that mean they're accepting it? Does that mean all this like massive? I mean, don't become complacent, people. Don't become complacent.
Yeah, I think one system has to go before the other system come in, and it's kind of like one is falling, the other one's coming in right now. And I think the fall is a little ahead of the one coming in, you know, and we are entering a golden age, and it has to do with a natural progression that we're going through in the universe. And we're going through a highly energized place in space that, with all the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections and the streams hitting the earth right now, and the Schumann resonance going off the scale, all the lower frequency stuff is being pretty much kicked up and tossed out. And so when you have a big solar flare, people, they'll go, you know, they did experiments on monkeys, Stanford did, and they experience everything from comatose to self-mutilation when you start, you know, moving the magnetic fields up and down, which is what we're all going through. You know, do we have to act like monkeys? No, we don't. You know, when we know what's going on, like when you go, okay, there's a full moon and there's a massive solar flare hitting. What am I going to do? I'm probably going to stay home. You know?
You're right.
I'll bake some cookies or something, you know, or just clean the house.
Go to bed early.
Yeah, go to bed early. I'm going to meditate. You know, I'm going to anything that comes up, I'm going to release the past. I'm going to do all I can to.
Not going to make any major life decisions.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on the freeway, and I'm not going to go to the mall. Yeah.
Oh God.
And so, because people get crazy, you know, lunatic, basically. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, that's for sure too.
And so, you know, people do get crazy at those times. And now you've got this division game going on between the deep state and all these other guys. Are trying to divide everybody, you know, from race, religion, and gender, and keep them fighting with each other so they don't see what's being done behind the scenes, you know, and people that's all getting amplified and coming up. And a lot of people are they're not educated. They're believing all the nonsense they're seeing on the news and everything else. And even the religious nonsense, that there's belief systems that totally go against the nature of God. You know, they're all about jihads and wars and division and has nothing to do with the source, you know, the real source. But
absolutely not.
And there's people thinking they're the chosen ones, and they're, you know, the very people that think they're the chosen ones are the ones that basically Jesus rebuked, you know, and if they go and look at the real history, you know, you really need to, people need to get educated as to how, you know, what it says in the Talmud, what it says in the Quran, you know, what does it say about Jesus in there? It's pretty ugly. And we just walk them in, you know, we can't be judgmental. We're going to virtue signal and just let them all in and come in here. And it's in their to take out non-believers, but that's okay. That's okay, because
people don't understand. Every day this goes on. Every day you let go. I tried to explain this going back 4 years ago. Every single day you let pass and you wait for some chariot to come in and rescue you is one day more screwed up you're going to have to undo. It's not, you know, the longer you let this go on, it's just not going to go away. It's just not going to go away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I'm a nice guy. I don't deserve somebody doing a jihad on me. You know,
no.
I love people. You know, I do my best to live under universal law and everything else. You know, what the hell? You know what?
You really do.
Yeah, who are these people?
Do you even drink more other caffeine outside coffee? I mean, you're pretty. Like, you know, I give you credit for
even the UFO community has done a jihad on me. I can't believe it. It's just like, you've got everything you're asking for disclosure, all the evidence, the contact, who they are, why they're here, everything you've been asking for. Why are you doing a jihad on ECETI? Come on.
And a link who can communicate. They don't understand. There's the mediums that are able to communicate. They obviously bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Why? That none of it would make any sense unless they had their agenda rolling out ahead of us, you know?
Well, that's the whole thing. People go, why don't we have contact? Well, look what I mean, is the UFO community going to be
We
where
have
they're going to
contact.
contact? Of course
Yeah.
not. They're not going there.
No.
Now that's a zoo. That's a reptilian F fest. I hate to say it, is what it's
right.
But are they going to go to the government? Hell no. Are they going to go to religions? No. They can't get along with each other. And in general, as a race, we can't even get along with brown, black, and yellow and white.
I know.
What happens when purple and green come in?
Yeah, and then we act like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. How would you say this person, like a person of this killed one of their own? What are you talking about? Look all around you. Like everybody's killing each other. No one's asking if they're the same heritage. They're killing each other. People are killing each other. That's so crazy. Pancho had a good question. Do mediums use short or long waves to communicate? Like do you think that it's even through? I mean, it's obviously, I guess, like it goes through my prefrontal cortex and I project it out is how I do it. How do you do it, James?
Basically, I'd say shortwave, but that wouldn't be very big of me. But
right.
But anyway, the frequencies are the low tones, the very low tones. Those are the healing tones. That's why you have the llamas doing this deep guttural thing and everything else. And those are the the earth tones and things like that. Those are more of the healing tones. There are high frequency energies you can use for certain things, but some really high frequencies actually can do damage. But basically, what I've been doing lately, I've been following the Ethiopian Bible and the monad meditations and things like that. They're very powerful, and I didn't realize I was doing this all along. I've been teaching this all along, and now it came out in the Ethiopian Bible. But and that's in my book too. All that information's in the new book, The Awakening of James. But
it's crazy. People don't realize that they're 7 years behind us, like year-wise.
I told people ECETI, when we do the newsletters, I said ECETI is the news 40 years in advance.
It really is.
I mean, I could tell people what's going to happen 40 years from now, but why? It's like, I've already seen it. But I'll tell you a really weird one. This has just happened to be 2 nights ago. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I was having this beautiful dream, and it was communication with Jesus, in the dream state. And the last thing he said to me was, "Wake up and listen." And all of a sudden, I just woke up, and I'm listening. I'm going, "What am I listening for?" And all of a sudden, boom! The whole house shakes really big, and there was an earthquake.
Dude.
Within 2 seconds after he said, wow. Wake up and listen. So we can all do that. We can all communicate. We can know our future. We can learn our past. Sometimes it's a good idea to know what your past is so you don't repeat it and know what you need to work on. And really staying in the moment is the best. But you can see your future. And it's by staying in the moment you have these visions come to you. And
that's the only thing you can really trust is right here, right now.
Your own inner sensitivity is basically all you're going to trust, and going within to get your information, basically, because external, the whole thing about external gods, that's disempowering. Seeking love, acceptance, and approval outside of yourself, that's disempowering. It's all external. And the only way we get out of this is to go internal and make our own personal connection with Creator, get our own inner guidance, and learn how to heal, the distractors, the unseen negative influences. And, that old saying, be still, be still, know ye are God. That's what Jesus said, and that really upsets people because when Jesus said God is closer than the hair on your head, and the temple is within, everything alludes to going within and igniting that spark to become the full flame. So it's expanding in consciousness, and you become one with the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness and all planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse. And that's what basically Jesus did. But who's teaching that? Who is teaching you how to do that?
No one is. And that's
merging
the
with
part.
your monad, with your own God flame is what it is. And
you got to light that spark. You're right about that.
Yeah. You got to ignite that spark, or either that or you're just a zombie. You're a social engineered zombie walking around trying to get everybody to love and accept you and doing your little Facebook dances. I call it Facebook spirituality. Like, I'm so spiritual. Look at me, I've got
love and light, everybody.
Yeah. I've got the house. I've got the house and the car and the bank account, so I go, good for you, have fun with those attachments, but
right.
I go, what happens when somebody smashes your car and your ego is attached to that? Your self-esteem is attached to your car. Boom, you take a big dive. What if your wife leaves? Boom, you took another big dive. What if your money's gone? It's all transitory. You got to find your center. And that's where the real love, joy, and acceptance is. It's in your own, when you make your own personal connection with Creator. And I don't see hardly any churches teaching that.
No.
It's all come here and we'll tell you what to think.
Come here and give 10% of your earnings, and then you may, that's exactly what it boils down to. I mean, money.
Yeah, we don't have a following. I have a newsletter basically, and it's free. And we don't have a following. It's just open to anybody that wants to come up and experience, the energy. And we do have rules. And if you break the rules, we might ask you to leave. But like no drinking, no drugs, and don't be rude, to people. That can get you going.
Yeah, by all, like, for God's sakes, like, just, pretend like you have some manners if you go there.
Yeah, and if you're going through something, ask for help. Don't project and blame on others.
Yes.
Don't make everybody else responsible for your process, and so we just have some basic rules that people go by. And I think about the energy at the ranch. It's so high there. People come to the ranch and they go, I'm home. I feel the Pleiades. I feel the energies here. And they're all, but the problem with that is that after about 3 days, it brings up everything. So that love and that joy and that blissful energy starts bringing up everything that's not, all the wounds and traumas, from past experiences. And so if you're really serious and you want to come and evolve and heal and ascend, it's a place to do it. But if you want to project and blame and continue with social engineering, and it's not.
Go to Florida somewhere. Go to Disneyland.
A lot of people just fall asleep. If they're real resistant to the energy, they come and they just crash.
Oh, yeah. The fatigue, or that, and especially if your adrenaline's going so rampant. But you really do. I mean, I would think that somebody struggling and going through would be, I could imagine how powerful that would be around all of you guys. And just to have that love and that, you can't put even a price on it.
Well, you can heal everything very quickly and very gracefully. Mm-hmm. And we have the big eraser within us. We all do. And, the big eraser is God, Creator, Great Spirit. And it just goes, never happened, And you can clear those charges out very easily. But you have to surrender, and you have to, not be afraid to, you might have to do some crying, or some anger might come up or whatever. And you've got to face it and own it.
Right. And it's not that bad. Assume accountability. You can move on with your day, a lot of it, truthfully. There was a question in chat. I thought you'd find this funny, and I'm not going to answer. I know how you would, though. What does James think about Elena Danan?
No comment. I'm not getting into the Pulitzer Wars. There's all these wars going on with everybody. And everybody wants to, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? And everything else. And I'm not, I'm not staying out of that whole thing. I do really like Corey Good stuff. A lot of people get angry at me for that. And you've had Corey on the show. And
everybody in chat, you would not believe, There's two of David Wilcox, even his mods that are in here, and everybody keeps asking. And so I sent Corey a message, and I thought maybe you could recruit Peter too, because I don't know as if I could convince Peter to go on the panel or not. But yeah, I want to definitely do something by next week.
You know, it'd be cool. Yeah, get Corey and Peter and myself.
Yeah, that's it. But
And do a panel.
you're gonna have to get Peter, because I don't think Peter is. I tried. I don't think he. You're gonna have to get Peter.
I'll ask them. I'll ask them both. See if they want to do
You
something.
might have to blackmail him just a little bit. But
Yeah.
he'll tell him he'll be fine. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Once he goes through it, it's not that bad as you think it is.
Well, Peter's great. He's just really busy right now, and he's, you know, both Peter and Corey, they've had so much shit thrown at them, and so many character assassinations and all this stuff that they're kind of leery on, you know, going out there and speaking. And what's interesting about Corey and, you know, Peter's been with me all along. You know, he's been since day one, and so and he's really blossomed, you know, to really, he's got incredible things happening at his ranch in Australia. And with Corey, when I heard Corey's story, I go, you know what? That's the same thing I've experienced. I have people on the inside that I can't even mention their names, and they've told me what's going on, and the 20 and back stuff and everything. I've heard about it, and the jump rooms and all that stuff, secret space fleet and everything. And I've heard about it. I didn't have all the details like he does, but you know, it validated everything. And he was the first one to bring all that stuff out, basically. And then everybody kind of jumped on the bandwagon, but and then they started attacking him, you know, because he's the authentic one. So they you know, the inauthentic come after you.
You listen to him and you give him an opportunity, because I was jumped on that bandwagon, but then I got thinking, you know what? How much blind belief and authority I've given, and that is truly the greatest enemy of truth. And when I started to go through and talk to him and do the research myself, I was like, oh man. And then I started to remember and look back at the people that it was coming from, and I was like, so give everybody a fair shot. Like, everybody has a right to get, you know, and defend their own. And these people, they're just making videos and like everything in the most narcissistic way known to man. And then they take, you know, this and conjure it all together. Well, have fun. But I could see how Corey going through a lot of this with the trauma and stuff from the 20 and back and those memories and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Would probably not find all of this stuff amusing. And it took a lot for him, James, I mean, to come out and to do the interview. He was pretty like, I don't know if I even want, you know, this, and he's like, he got to be careful. These people, you know, he was very cautious he should have been, because they jump on you. If they lived locally, you would have restraining orders on these people.
Yeah.
Animals.
The thing about when everybody's, you know, he said that too about me. He said, you know, I heard all these stories and they were totally character assassinating you and everything else. And then I thought, I go, you know, I probably need to talk to this guy and see what the story is. And then he met me and he goes, man, this is like, you know, this is on the up and up and everything. And he goes, I can't believe it. And I said, well, Corey, I heard the same thing about you. And I know when there's somebody's character assassinating, you know, when they're flipped out and coming after you, those are the people I want to talk to, because they're probably
me too.
They're the ones that are the real deal.
Yeah.
So I don't listen to all the nonsense. You know, I've had a lot of people on my show that, you know, they came one time on my show, and I had them on the show one time and they told their story, and they all have a right to tell their story. And then I found some things out that I looked into it and decided, well, I can't really, you know, they're not coming with impeccable integrity and they have different agendas, so I can't have them on my show anymore. And, you know, but I think everybody has a right to tell their story, and it's their karma. You know, if it's not real, it's their karma. And I have kind of a duty to vet it the best I can. But, you know, until I hear their story and meet them, there's not, you know, the rest is just gossip and hearsay. You know, you don't know.
Yeah. You
But
have to give somebody that opportunity to tell,
yeah,
at least like, I mean, in the court of law in the United States of America, you have the right to get up there and defend yourself. I mean, for God's sakes,
exactly. And
you
I
don't know.
know, I know there's a very heavy, I hate to say it, but there's a very heavy Luciferian element at play here, and a lot of dark money that came in that took over the whole UFO community. And you know, Corey ran into that, and they tried to pull that same crap on me, and I just said no, not going to happen. And they came in and they go, "You're going to be famous. You're going to get rich. You're going to turn your place into Disneyland, UFO world." And I go, "You would
Oh
kill the
boy,
energy here.
just what I
You would,
wanted.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to sell out, and I go, no, it has to be the frequencies have to be maintained. Look what happened at Disneyland. I won't even go into that, but
Yeah. Nobody
but you
wants
got,
Disneyland, for God's
yeah, it's not
sakes.
money. It's not
No.
money,
No, it's
but
not. It's
it's
blood.
all about
Yeah.
frequency. It's about, integrity and frequency. Basically, maintaining your integrity, keeping your frequency. You may not get rich, but it's, but you can look in the mirror before you go to bed and feel good about yourself. And
Yeah, and
in,
wake up.
your light review, you're going to stand tall in your light review. And I tell people that start attacking and coming after me, I said, well, you have fun in your light review. I'll probably be there.
Yeah.
And you're going to
Yeah.
have to deal with all this stuff. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to have to face it. And there's not going to be anyone else around. You can't say, oh, so and so down on earth, I'm going to blame them. No, you'll actually have to take
it
accountability.
doesn't work that
for
way. You have to,
yourself. Yeah.
you're going to experience all the pain and suffering and trauma you've put on
No,
others
you put on others. Yeah.
in
So
your light
best of
review.
luck to you. Yeah, I agree.
And anything you're dishonest about, everything comes up, so it's better to clean it up now, than
Yeah.
having to do it in your light review. Because
Oh, yeah, it is. You're not, if you do these things for yourself, they're going to be so much easier than if you let that universe have its, and you choose not to do these things and you leave that fate. You're not going to like how it's done. It's not
no,
gonna
the
go,
universe
"Oh."
always balances things. It always finds
Yeah.
balance. And
Oh, God.
in your light review, there's going to be some light beings standing there, and you are not going to lie. You're not going to get away with anything. Everything is known, and
Yeah.
and everything's going to be amplified.
You have nothing to hide
They're going
behind.
to just slither off and go, okay, I'm out of here. It's like,
Mhm.
or try to, but
Yeah, somebody says source knows all. That's exactly it too.
yeah,
There's nothing you can think of like all day long. But yeah. Oof. Somebody wanted to know, Pancho wanted to know why there's so many UFOs around Air Force bases. One of my UFO sightings was less than a quarter of a mile, 200 feet from it kind of gets like, for some reason, when I shows on my screen, way and above, I don't know, there's like a lines going through it. So it must not want me to know. Can you see that on your end? No, it looks like it's okay on
no, I can see. Yeah, there's the thing about a lot of those are ours. We've back engineered these things since the 60s, and we're going to the moon and Mars, since the late 60s, maybe even before that. I mean, Germany had this technology in the 30s. So you can imagine what that's evolved to be right now. And, we have Space Fleet and we have Space Force and we have all this stuff. And it's now finally getting out, and some of those are ours. You're seeing the other guys are also checking us out. They're checking out what we're doing and, what kind of nuclear stuff we're doing. They're very animate about nuclear stuff. They want us to get rid of that. And that was the original deal. They said, we'll give you all the technology you need to clean up your environment, med beds, to have a quantum leap in evolution, but you've got to get rid of the nukes. And the other group came in and said, oh, you can keep the nukes, we'll give you the technology, but we get to experiment on humanity. And so the guys who we've given our power to make those decisions made the wrong decision.
Oh
and
yeah.
copper's coming back again. It's on the table again, and they have the
Sell
grammar.
us right out again, over and
Yeah.
over.
And so hopefully we'll get the right people to make the right decision that, okay, yeah, we are going to disarm. We are going to stop, creating, weapons of total annihilation. And we're going to go back. And there's things happening behind the scenes that people don't even know about. You'd be really surprised. What you're seeing in the media is kabuki theater,
Yeah.
but they've already made agreements. And I said this, oh God, 10 years ago. I was telling people that, there's been agreements made with Putin and Trump and Modi and Gigi and all that stuff. And what we're seeing now is just a bunch of kabuki theater, but eventually it's all going to be, it's happening right now. Everything's being unsealed. The big arrests are coming down the pike. The arrests they've just made over there in Venezuela is
Oh yeah.
not for the oil. The oil isn't even that good oil, basically, but it's for other reasons. They're going to get all the Smartmatic computers and the voting machines and everything. So you got people on El Chapo's dole, on the dole there. We got people with Marcos on the dole with him, and then you got people on the dole with China, and all this is coming out now, and so even Trump said, if I were to arrest everybody, we'd have no members in Congress.
Yeah, right. We'd have no government left. Everything.
Yeah, if you take the Epstein list, the Diddy list, and the lists that are coming out with Venezuela and El Chapo and everything else, you're gonna find out there's not going to be very many people left in office.
No,
and they're already leaving. There's so many homes for sale in Washington D.C. right now, and everybody's packing up, and they've got their, they're kind of disappearing because they know the hammer's coming.
Oh yeah. People want to know if you have those are those chickens?
Oh, right now?
Mm-hmm.
Those are coqui frogs.
Oh, those are the frogs. Somebody else had the frog, or you could hear the frogs too. I forgot about the frogs.
Yeah, the coqui frogs. It just rained, and so the coqui frogs are all going crazy. And then,
oh no way!
And then the chickens go off all day, and the roosters go off all night if it's full moon. So that's the thing about Hawaii. It's you've got all this, living in a jungle basically. So.
No, yeah, no. I've heard this from somebody. I think Jahan also had one day, because he's tropics too, that he's talking about the frogs, and I was like, oh, I thought that I was envisioning like those talking birds or something. I don't know.
They're little tiny. They're little tiny black frogs. They're so small. I have no idea how they make such a loud noise. They're little tiny frogs.
They sound like cute little like baby birds.
They do.
I know they're cute. Yeah, no. Somebody was asking. I was like, I think.
It's really loud. They're really loud, and they're just little tiny guys. And they put me to sleep when I hear them.
I was gonna say they could kind of be relaxing, because I didn't even. Every once in a while I'd notice, but I didn't. It just kind of went in with the background. So I was like, man, they're not. Oh, chicken. Oh, yeah. Crazy chicken frogs.
Oh, yeah. Hawaii, I think the national bird is the chicken, but the rooster. But there are so many. Like here, I love this place because I can walk out my door. I can walk the coffee fields, and I can find eggs from all the wild chickens.
Wow.
So I can pick up eggs. I can grab some avocados. I can get papaya or mangoes or, God, I'm trying to think, jackfruit, and I just planted a whole 14 jackfruit trees, and
drink the coconut drink the milk out of the coconut.
Yeah, everything is here. You'd never starve here, basically, and you should always. I tell people you should turn your place into a food bank if you've got any room at all. Put a garden in and plant your trees, and get some bigger trees so they produce earlier. And everywhere I go, that's what I do. I make a food bank. I'll have ponds full of fish or everything, like, so
Wow.
you don't even have to go anywhere.
That's awesome that you live like, with that commune. That's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, I don't worry about anything because I'm prepared. It's like,
See, that goes a very, very long way. It says, okay, here's another one. Has James had an encounter with Fae or little people?
with who?
Is it the Fae? Is that right?
Oh yeah,
FAE?
yeah. A
Little
lot of them.
people.
I actually have photographs. I have had a lot of encounters with them, and I have photographs of a woman in a gown flying across in front of me with a gem in her hand. It's like a big crystal in her hand and wings, and I have them peeping in my window. And I have photographs of them peeping in my windows and things. And we have a lot of like gnome and fairy activity, Bigfoot activity there because it's a vortex, and the veils are really thin.
Somebody asked before about that. Is it on a portal or is it like?
Yeah, it's actually in a spot that even the government calls it the purple zone, where it has high magnetic anomalies happening. And so there's all kinds of paranormal activity all around Mount Adams and our ranch too. It's in what they call the purple zone.
Wow. Yeah, it is like you have all types of activity there. It's not just when you
I had remote viewers. I had remote viewers come, and it was they totally validated, John Vivanco and others have come and they've totally validated everything I've been talking about the different beings, who they are, who's on the ships, everything. They saw the same thing and they wrote it down, everything down to the feline beings, the humanoid feline beings that are here. And
wow.
Yeah, so it's we had Ancient Aliens came out and remote viewers were there and everything, and they validated everything, and then they took me out of the show. They came to my ranch, did a thing, and then they totally took me out, completely edited me out of the show because they want to keep the suspense going. They don't want answers. They just want to keep the suspense going. And plus I've been pretty vocal about some of the, pedophilia nonsense. So I got blackballed.
Oh, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Local police department. They don't like that. The cryptid podcast is wondering how to get a hold of you to possibly come on their show. Do you want to email?
Yeah, just go to the website and send an email, and then we'll get in contact with you.
And that's the best way. ECETI.org.
Yeah. And I think there's a space in there, but I think it's just ECETI.org at gmail.com or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm not sure, but but if you go to the website, there's a place you can contact.
Yeah, there's definitely, or get a hold of me and I can get that to you. There's the chai sounds right. Oh, they want to know, do you believe Sasquatch can shift shape or shape shift? I don't know why I flip that around every time I say that into wild animals.
No, I don't believe it. I know it. I've seen it. Right in front of me, 50 feet away, I saw one phase out. So they can definitely shape shift. You always got to remember there's always a lie and believe. So and that's where you have to look at things, unless you've experienced it firsthand. It's a story. It could be true, could be not. But I mean, I've had probably at least 9 Bigfoot sightings, and up close and personal. And they come to the ranch, they walk through the ranch. I have prints and everything from them, and they, especially when the apples are in season, they come down and get apples and things like that.
Yeah, you said they like the peanut butter. We leave out.
Yeah, we put peanut butter out on these posts, and they come and they take the lid off, scoop the peanut butter out, put the lid back on, and put it back on top of the post. So if you can show me an animal that can do that, like a raccoon might be able to get the lid off, but it's not going to put the lid back on and put it on the post, So
that's pretty nice. I mean, that they do that. And then too, where are you located in? Where's ECETI, Hawaii? Got somebody going to Honolulu. We're on
the Big Island, but right now it's a long story, but we started out, we had an agreement with some people that had, there's 2 farms together. And so we had some funders stepped in, and they bought one farm, and I bought the smaller one, the smaller 7-acre thing. And basically there was only so the original intent was to have a big ECETI Hawaii thing, but now because they reneged on that, I just have the 7 acres, and there's only a horse stall on it, which I converted. But so we have like 1 toilet here, and that's it. But we are working on, we'll have to get some funding together, but we are working on creating, a sanctuary just like ECETI, and where we'll be doing a lot of counseling work and contact, and we're having the same thing happen here. We're having masters appear here. We're having Hawaiian spirits, beings with shields showing up.
Wow.
We're having the Menehune, Pele, and all those guys are coming in. And then we're having incredible UFO activity here. Like it's treetop level, powering up, responding. That's what I sent to you, some of the video. And
I know when I had it, I will have to play it next week.
And they're responding. We go power up, and I go, okay, light her up. And it goes boom, and lights up the whole sky. And then you hear me laughing in the background saying thank you. But we have so much of that. We have 40 years of footage. Some of it got damaged due to a flood, but
I never forget the first time you gave me footage, and I was like, I thought it was like a year's worth of footage. You're like, this is over the 4th of July weekend, and I was like,
yeah, it was just the weekend,
all in one weekend.
Yeah,
wow. I mean, and it's all James has allowed me to put it out there, so it's all, you can go ahead and look back. It's there. All the footage is there. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Do you want me to go to the video and kind of show people some of the stuff? I can do that. It's not the most recent one, but
yeah, you can pop some of that in.
Yeah, just so they can definitely see. I'll go back in and find it really quick.
I don't know how, I've lost track. I mean, we've been doing this for 40 years we've had up to 400 people at a time there at a major event. And they've all seen the ships, and you multiply that times 40 years. We're only closed in the winter time, when it gets really snowed in and things. But, you really think about how many witnesses have come through there and had their own experiences. It's overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny how, even with all that, how can they deny and censor that? How come I'm not at the congressional hearings? I can answer all
because
their
you're
questions.
Telling the truth.
Yeah,
they're not going to have you there to save their lives.
I don't have any. We have helicopters constantly flying over, and now we have ships parked out in my front yard, monitoring the situation. And same thing, planes and helicopters coming over. I just go, why don't you just call me? I'll make a cup of coffee. We'll sit down. I'll tell you everything I know. There's no clandestine thing coming on. I've written about all this stuff in my books. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no threat. They're totally benevolent.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand what all this waste of energy is. When you can just sit down.
It's like they don't even care if they waste years of their lives doing this. I mean,
give me 30 minutes, maybe an hour at one of those UFO hearings, and I'll tell you everything. Who they are, why they're here, their ancient history, who they were in the past, what their intentions are, and who doesn't want them here.
It repeats over. Here, I'll play. I know that the sound part of it is like fantastic. You can see it. I'm gonna take the comment off there.
Yeah, and I'm also finding the sound. We have the sound of the motherships and everything, and now I'm hearing it in all kinds of music, and other people are using all this stuff in their music and their own which is fine. You know, I share everything, but
Oh, you mean what they actually sound like when
yeah,
they're
there's
going?
a big low pulsing mothership sound that I recorded from one of the ships, and so that's kind of a smaller one.
You know, if I turn it up, that got hit last time on a copyright. I'll see if some of these. I mean, this is like amazing. Look at that go through.
Oh, there's two. Well, there's three. Three just went
Yeah.
by.
Is it doing that? Let's see. I'm gonna turn up the volume a little. You can hear people. It's so cool. Like they're oohing and ahhing, and like you just hear put the music at.
Yeah, we had this Soul Tech conference there, and got brain farted on some of the people there. I don't know. I have to remember. But
you'll remember at like 3 a.m.
A lot of them saw their first UFOs there, and these are really well-known people in the UFO community, and you can hear them, you know, like freaking out in the background. Go, oh my God, what is that? You know, and it's just paranoid.
Well, it's life-changing. It really is life-changing. That's why I don't understand some of these people. I like, how can you see this?
That's coming straight at us.
Oh, Jimmy Church. Jimmy Church was there, and God, I keep forgetting this guy's name. I don't know why. He's really big out there right now, and you can hear them talking in one of them.
That is so powered up, man.
I was gonna turn the volume.
So low.
I thought I didn't know if that was Peter or not for a second.
It's beautiful shit.
That doesn't sound like Peter though. Wow.
Yeah, you can see the tree. You can see it going through the trees.
Just come behind the tree.
That's Peter.
I was gonna say that sounds like Peter. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of them moving there.
Wow.
But I don't know. We have some that just power up and white out the whole screen.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You hear everybody just screaming. You know, they're in a positive way, not through fear. You know, because
it was like cheering
as to who they are. They really want to connect with them.
Oh, for sure. And then it's like, you know, the feel like after the fireworks, everybody's like, you know, joyous and happy. That's what it reminded me of, like that cheer that they were, you know, yelling. They were excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that. Definitely, we need to light that.
Yeah, this was just the 4th of July, and there was I don't know, probably 30 or 40 ships that we filmed.
Yeah, they just keep going. I mean, going.
So funny, they're coming in right now. I can feel them. They're totally.
You can, you do feel them when you. Oh
yeah. My head just opened up, and my ears are ringing right now, and everything. They're overhead. They're above me right now.
Oh yeah, you get the premiere, yeah.
Yeah, Blajee, she's a 7th dimensional Pleiadian, and she's been coming in.
That's so cool you have that relationship with them. I don't know them by name like that.
Yeah, it's really sad because they censored all this. I gave this all to them in Ancient Aliens, and they censored it all out. And we not only know who they are, why they're here, their cultures, their intentions, but we know them by name.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them I consider them personal friends.
Absolutely. And everybody's got you've got that Irish and Native American, you know, that's the build right there for all.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They said that even the CIA was trying to grab people that had the Irish Native American mix because they seemed to be the most psychic or something.
Yeah, I've got the Irish mix. That's where I know exactly where it came from. But anybody I ask, it's the same thing. Look at that.
You know, the Highlanders that in Ireland, the Highlanders, those were all like Anunnaki dudes in the ancient past. and the gods, the Norse gods and things like that. And then you had Hawaii and the Cherokee Nation, several other Indian nations, and even in the Philippines, the shamans there, they all point to the Pleiades, saying we came from there. And the Pleiadians created the colonies of Atlantis and Lemuria. So before that, it was the Anunnaki, the ancient Lyrians, that created the first colonies that came to Earth. So we're kind of a combination of colonization and a human that was developing here naturally.
Right? I mean, there's got to be, there absolutely like intervention that's taken place. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at the Egyptians, and they had those huge cone heads.
Yeah.
They had those big hats they were wearing and everything because they had a big old cone head. They were aliens.
I just envisioned that one. What was it? The with the toilet paper and they're like sucking it in.
Yeah.
The Conehead movie. I can't. That's where my head goes.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd used to call me up, and when he was in town, and he always rides trains. He doesn't like to fly, I guess, but he has his own little train, and he'd call me up and say, "Hey, come have lunch with us," And so I'd drive into Portland to the train station and see him. I'd like to get him more active, but he did that one movie. I can't remember, was it Out of the Blue? Or he did that one movie, and I guess it really hurt his career.
Which one was that?
Oh, he did this movie with some people that were not really that awake or that enlightened. I can't remember the movie.
Yeah, Hollywood can make or break you with some of those stuff. You got to be very careful what you self-involved in.
Well, there's a lot of people that are making these movies, and they know who we are, and they know what we're doing, and they've never come out because they're part of the control narrative. They're afraid to really bring out the truth. These are landings on the mountain. Yeah, these are landings on the mountain.
Wow, look at that. Wow. Somebody asked too before, James, have you spotted, and this has been an ongoing debate, is Bigfoot in Hawaii? Have you had any Bigfoot sightings there?
I have heard, I think Joan Ocean talks about, she's had some experiences with Bigfoot. There was something here that was non-physical. I don't know what it was. It was throwing little rocks on the roof. And I never did see it. I still don't know what it is, but that is one of their things they do. They like to throw little rocks, next to get your attention, and they leave rocks. They leave kind of. You can tell these rocks aren't anywhere. They're from somewhere else, and they do little trades. And I've had a lot of. Clifford Mahoney was there at the ranch, and Bigfoot came and visited him and left some little presents for him. He's crossed over now, but
yeah,
a lot of people. Oh God, what's his name? Peter O'Toole's son, Larkin O'Toole, was there, and he had a major Bigfoot encounter with another woman, and we put her on. She may be on the site. Their testimony. He also saw a whole fleet of ships come over.
Oh, wow. But look at this one. That's pretty low.
Yeah, that's a major landing right there.
Wow. Yeah.
And they respond, we'll shoot a laser to them, and they send a big laser back. And they totally respond, and then they just disappear.
It's just absolutely crazy, some of the stuff. And they are like, when you do communicate, I was seeing you guys with the lasers right there. Did you go in prior? What was your technique? Others, I can see.
What's that?
What was your technique with just pointing them out with the laser, getting attention? Some people do prime numbers. Some people, I had a whole collection of tactical lights at one point.
Yeah, we just circle them. Circle them. But the thing is, we know they're coming before they come.
Oh, yeah.
And the lasers are mainly just to point them out. Like at ECETI, they come and they call it dazzle duty. They could do a show, and they do a little show and just to show they're here, to support. They're like cosmic cheerleaders.
And, that's cool.
Yeah, we have them landing, morphing into 3, morphing back to 1 again.
I've seen that too.
You know,
yeah.
every size, shape, and color ships. You know, here we just filmed some fleets coming in and going into the ocean, and treetop level stuff. We have a lot of that. It's on the website. Jason's been cataloging it, but God, we have so much footage. It's like
That's pretty good.
a
A lot of people don't. Yeah,
That's
I call that the
speeder.
night creeper. Isn't it funny how
Yeah.
everybody has the night danglers, the night creeper? I mean, I don't know what it's doing, but I definitely.
And that was just on the 4th of July weekend. We had Peter Slattery out and we did a conference. And that was just on one, all that was filmed on one night.
Wow.
Or one weekend, actually, I should say.
Somebody wants to know what info you have regarding the Phoenix Lights. Somebody else was just talking about that last night. Other than Greer did not. Greer tries to take responsibility. He literally tried to take responsibility for the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny watching that.
I know.
Yeah, I created that. You know.
Yeah. What kind of ego would you? That he needs about 10 bufo ceremonies. Like, I mean, just for starters.
Well, he came to the ranch. If that's who you're talking about, he came to the ranch and he said the only reason ships are coming to ECETI is because he was there. And I go, they've been here for 500 years.
Oh my God. I know. Isn't it exhausting? I don't know how you stay so amicable sometimes with them. I'm like, oh God.
Well, we have everything. You know, we have people come to the ranch and they say they're Jesus and I'm supposed to turn the keys over to them. And
oh, I bet.
Yeah, my mom Mary told me that you'd take care of me and turn the keys over. And
sounds like you get like some of the insane asylum, like part of this community. There is a part of this community that does belong in the insane asylum. They really do. Either that or they're drifting.
It's not. I don't think he was insane or anything. There's more than one. There's quite a few.
So
there's a thing that happens when you reach enlightenment and you connect with Christ consciousness, which is 5D on up. When you connect with that energy, you're unique, yet you're one. But if your ego gets misinformed on that and thinks that you are the one and you're one with that being, you're not the being. And it's hard to explain, but you know, if you take it like, okay, if Jesus said, you know, I myself do nothing, the Father through me doeth the work. He's saying I am one with God, you know. I merged with the one consciousness and became one. Mm-hmm. And so you could say, well, if you take that into perspective, everybody is Jesus because Jesus merged with God, you know, and everybody is God, right? Everybody, you can't separate yourself from omnipresence, you know, the creator is within all creation.
Absolutely.
So in a way there's an old saying that if you say you're Jesus, you're not insane, but if you say you're the only Jesus, then you gotta check yourself. But, you know, because that's when the ego steps in. But you know, when he came up there and he said he was going to go to the Vatican and reclaim the Vatican and all this stuff. And I told him, I said, I tell you what, I said, before you do that, I said, there's a pond over there. You might want to take a walk across it. And then I got a few jars of water here you can make some wine out of and I'll be your best ally, you know.
Please make them walk on water at least.
I said, but until you can do that, I really wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be a good idea taking on the Vatican, you know.
No.
Until that happens. But I mean, they're wonderful people. You know, some of them one was just egomaniac, but some are just they're you know, one didn't come in arrogance and everything. He had really good energy and everything. He just was a little misguided, you know, but
right. Wu wants to know, did that has the CIA come and proposed try to recruit you yet?
Yeah, they've been monitoring us for forever. They've come there, they've even admitted who they were, and they were trying to document the stuff, and they brought all this gear. I mean, submarine batteries and every kind of camera you can think of, and night vision, heat. They had everything, UFO flew over and shut down everything, drained all the batteries.
Oh, I bet they're
Yeah.
notorious for that. And what do you think? Here's another question. Oh, for the 20 and back, do you know anybody? I've talked to Doc Skinner. He says, I mean, like, but for the 20 and back, do you know any other legit experiencers of that? This guy likes Corey.
Yeah.
He's not saying it in a bad way.
I don't know. I really, I'm sure there are a lot out there, but they probably are not going public.
No, a lot of people.
They've signed things, agreements, and I think Corey got the green light to talk about it and go public, but I think some of these other guys that might have done that are, I hate to say it, but a lot of them just got their brains scrambled, and they're like street people now.
No, you're right about that.
There's some really nasty thwant to happen to them, and so. And there's others. They don't want to, they want to honor whatever agreement they made not to talk about it, So, and but I don't.
I mean, who even knows who has their memories back yet? Because a lot of them are starting, how it's all of a sudden like a jarred, like especially trauma, and they're so suppressed that it seems like all of a sudden, more and more the stories get out and then it resonates with them. I have not gotten that far on any of it yet. I just know that the gifted and talented program at 4, and that's like the gate. And I was talking to Doc Skinner, and he was one of the first generations of that, and he was talking about how he just got some of his memories back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know if I could digest, but I like I said, I don't, it's really hard. Corey's one of the few. And like I said, talking to Doc, like he's a lot of his story was resonating, but you have to be careful in that the SSP, because a lot of people have taken that on that have had trauma.
There's whole conferences on that. And unfortunately, a lot of the people ended up being vetted and got busted for not being who they said they were, and having a very dubious background. And the same people were attacking me, and then all of a sudden they got found out, they got found out for who they really were and what their real agenda was. But
thank God.
But yeah, there's a lot of that out there. I'm just not sure. I haven't really focused on that. I go, well, that's Corey's gig, that's his venue. He knows more about that. And I do know it's real. I do know there's a lot of that going on, but most of my stuff was actually going from the 13th dimension down. And so, but you do come across that information and people that have had that experience and knowledge of that just when you do the research. And I do know some of I've met some of the lead scientists that were involved in all the back engineering and Area 51 stuff. And you really think of Area 51, okay, how many areas were before 51 and after 51?
Yeah, right.
So
they didn't just Area 51 out of nowhere. I bet you.
Yeah, go to Area 52. That's where the real hardware is. That's where they're testing
exactly what I've heard too.
Yeah,
exactly what I've heard. Man, it's definitely a lot to take. But we should do a show next week for sure, and you guys can ask him about the 20 and back, because I'm sure he'd be more than happy. You get to a good part of Corey's story if he doesn't have to defend himself every single time. If people would just let him talk, then you could hear, because he's got and I'm not saying this to like my audience or whatever, but I'm just saying if people would, like in general, and they keep jumping, he's always got to be on the defense. He's got a great story. He's got, and he's more than happy to answer questions. And you could tell just by his like demeanor towards it and how, you can tell that there is a lot of authenticity with him, a lot.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time with him, and he came out to the ranch, and his whole family came out, and they stayed in one of our places there, and I spent a lot of time with him and his family, and there's some people at the ranch that are very, very intuitive, very tapped in, and they go, I believe him. They go, I think his heart's, pure. He's been really hammered on, by everybody, and it's a rough thing when you try to bring back those memories and with clarity and everything else, and And for him to be doing what he's doing, I'm surprised he's still around.
Yeah, no, really. And you know what? I had a lot of respect for him when I went back and I did research after talking to you. And on there, you must have been getting attacked around the time that they were filming for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was like, I saw a message that he wrote you. He's like, I can hand over. I've got camera. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool that he was willing to hand over. And I don't even know if, I'm assuming you probably saw it going back, but it's like from years and years ago. And he's like, James, I've got the footage. I've got cameramen. We've got witnesses, just let me know what you need and da, da, da. And I was like, he didn't have to, that to me, like, was enough to be like, maybe he's not such a bad guy after all.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he has been like, and everybody's made mistakes in life. Like, let's not go and act like we walk on water, like somebody pointed out the demons do as well. But that's not even like that at all. And I think
you got to just do the best with the cards dealt to you, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I love that saying, I've never made a mistake. I've manifested a lot of things and gained a lot of wisdom,
You're right.
And so basically you don't know what you want until you experience what you don't want.
Yes.
You don't even know what it is till you experience it, and so we make choices and decisions, and it may take a little while to figure out it wasn't that good of a choice or a decision. And that's why we exact self and get clear within ourselves on even in the Ethiopian Bible, Jesus came out and said, there is no sin. And people are just flipping out now because for him saying that. And the reason he's saying that is because when he said, neither do I judge thee, nor does my Father judge thee, and he says, go and sin no more. So basically what he's saying is that I'm one with the all loving, all forgiving God. And I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge or condemn you. Gain the wisdom from the experience and don't do it again.
Right. Learn your lesson and move on.
And sin's an archery term. It means you missed. All it means you missed the mark,
And how many people they don't even have the opportunity to do better because they're always held at, and it's like, man, just if you give people enough breath and enough, let them feel safe around you, not like, become their super cyber stalker and it's just crazy like that.
I knew a guy that he went through a serious alcohol and coke addiction and stuff like that, and he came through the other side, and now he's helping other people and helping all these other people. He's the nicest guy you ever met, and he was kind of like almost confessing to me, and I said, let me tell you something. I said, if there was a person that was suffering from, cocaine addiction or drug addiction or whatever, I said, they have all the tricks. They can fool you. They have all the little tricks. And I said, and you have that under your belt. That's one of your tools. And how these people think, how to help them, how to stop them from deceiving themselves, everything. It's like, consider it a tool. That you've got this new tool belt now. And I said, you can help them better than I can because all the little tricks and all the little games that are played and denials and everything else. And you have compassion because you went through it. And so you can use that as okay, I gained the wisdom from this experience. I can help others now. I know what the trappings are and what it does to you and everything else. And it actually becomes a tool and you're better for it. So, I'm fully aware of my past lives. I've done everything. I was a little beggar boy in India. I was a road bandit in Mexico. I used to steal from the rich and give to the poor. I had a woman in every canteen. I was a Viking warrior. I hacked off heads. I did everything, but I also had a lot of lifetimes as yogis and lamas and off-world lifetimes as well. So I've done everything, but now I have compassion. I understand what makes somebody murder. I understand what makes somebody steal. I understand all that, and I have compassion for it now because I've experienced it. And I was liberating the rich and helping out a lot of poor people. And I also had I said I had like a woman in every cantina, and stuff like that. And I did get hung. I did get caught and hung for it. But we've done everything. And everybody goes, I was this in a past life, or I was Cleopatra, or I was Mother. I hear all these stories, and
it's crazy. I've went through my Akashic records, and one time it was like this dark hair. I think I was like a Russian spy, or I was like an American. I was some sort of espionage. I remember that on a train, and I remember the cigarettes were like those one long with the. I mean, it was crazy because it was just like, you look around, it was just like you're right there in that moment. Like one time I was Native American and I was leading and I led a whole tribe, not on intention, but off to like mass slaughter. I could see the heads coming off and the blood and and I was so certain, and here it ended up badly. So that they said I carry, and I'm like, that probably makes sense why I do carry some of that with me. But
I was told I was an Algonquin elder, and I didn't even know what an Algonquin was at the time. I had to go look it up, because never heard of it. And so, you hear stuff like that. And I have full memory of sitting around the campfire and everybody's whooping it up and getting ready to go to war. And I remember thinking that they have no idea what they're getting into. Right now it's a party, and I go, but when they get in there and they start losing their brothers and having to kill people and all that, I go, it's going to be a mess. They have. And I was really trying to make peace. I actually brought all the chiefs together and we sat down and said, how do we work this out? How do we stop killing each other and working in peace and things like that? But, a lot of those memories, everything, I remember flying a ship, I had several ships that I was flying, a small one. I remember flying by Earth and it wasn't even physical yet. It was still a gaseous ball, it was cooling and condensing. And I go, that's going to be a nice planet. It's sitting in a cradle orbit. It's going to be a nice planet someday. And then, that's how ancient we are. All of us are. But we don't have the memories. We don't know how to access the memories. But the near-death experiences brought those memories back, along with the beings that started showing up to me, brought my memories back to me, and I'd view them like, I'd see them in a snippet for about 5 or 6 seconds or something, but I'd get the whole life, get the feelings and the emotions.
Yeah. I could see that.
It was really interesting, but, I've done everything, I can't even, they told me not to say my name while I was here on Earth because there's a lot of reptilians would like to see me go away. But most of them.
No, what is that all about? I was just talking to someone yesterday too, and they were talking about how there was an exorcism. Or no, Steve Amera today. He said they asked me if I wanted to go in, but they said if I go in, now the devil's going to know your name, and I'm like, he doesn't know. Does that mean like if they hear it from you, or if they get too close? Or I just didn't understand that.
Well, they can sense it, but they sense your frequencies, and you're a threat. You're a threat to the. I always tell people go, well, I'm in love and light and I don't have any problems. And I said, that's because you're not a threat.
Love and light.
Love and light's great, but a lot of us came in to take care of business and expose things and enlighten people, But, you can't do a half truth. You gotta cover both sides of the coin.
Yes.
That's what they say. Enlightenment means to be enlightened of both sides of the coin. You can't just do a half truth and think you're awake. It doesn't work that way.
No. Yeah, it definitely does not work that way. Well, I've kept you for almost 2.5 hours, and if you want to do a show next week, that would be awesome.
We could do that.
We don't have to do for Channel 12 tonight if you don't feel like it.
I'm pretty burned out.
Yeah, I bet it's a lot of emotional stuff, but I just really wanted to thank you, and again, tell people about your book, The
Awakening of James.
I can't talk anymore.
And in about 9 days at the most, in about 9 days, it'll be available on Amazon. But right now you can go to Lulu and lulu.com or not sure where else. You can get it through the website. If you go to the website, it has a link at ECETI.org, and all the other books are there too. But it's a lot. I've had people, I I feel weird about tooting my own horn, but there's other people saying like this is the new Bible. This is the new Bible for people that really want to go beyond, into the other higher dimensions and everything else, and tie it all together, and bring everything back into universal law and unity consciousness. And so a lot of people, that's what they're saying after they read it. They go, "Oh my God, this all," and we know it. Everything that's in that book, we know it's written in our souls, and it just activates it. It activates.
What do you think about doing? I know you said the universal law is, and I've read it, and I have but I think that it would be good to kind of go over with some of the people on another show, because it does. I mean, it probably is simple but for some people, I don't know. I get stuck on simple.
I love the Cherokee saying, if it's not good for everyone, it isn't good. And that's basic the universal law. It's universal peace, brother, sisterly love, individual freedom, and prosperity for all. And that's Christ consciousness, basically. And that's our Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And that's the foundation of it. And it's how all these higher civilizations live. They live according to universal law. And so we have to rise to the occasion if we're going to be working with them.
Yes, I know. And I still have to make peace with whatever we got going on with humanity, or some of humanity right now. Because that's a hard part. It's like, man, rising above, because some of those people you just want to.
I know this party just wants to shake them, and shake all the nonsense out of them. But, that old thing, you got to forgive them, for they know not what they do. But I think some do know what they're doing.
I think they know exactly what they're doing. I know they know exactly what they're doing.
Need a boundary, you might say.
They got it in their playbook. I know what they're doing.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's how you can figure all this stuff out. It's so simple. There's all these, even I didn't want to go into that, but the Charlie Kirk thing, it's so simple. You look at, what does one group want to see happen, and what does the opposing group want to see happen? Who's involved in one group? Who's involved in the other group? And basically, he was
funding it. Yeah.
He was installing a high level of moral, integrity and in the younger people, and connecting them to good old JC, Jesus, and there's another group that thinks Jesus is a false prophet, burning in his own excrement. I won't say who they are, but they're the ones that made Charlie go away, and you follow the money.
Yes, you do.
You go, who has the most to gain? Follow the money. And I won't go any further than that, and that's all you got to do. And you'll figure out. And
you'll get hot on their trail too. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, who's control of all the agencies, and then that'll tell you right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who controls the narrative?
They're the puppet masters. You start identifying them, and good luck down that rabbit hole. We'll see you sometime in a few years from now.
That's why I say you have fun with that. I'll see you in your light review.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people.
Some of you are probably not going to make it through this process, and just this disclaimer alone. We hope we see you.
Give it your best shot. Attacked by the best. You give it your best shot. And
right. If at first you don't succeed, you try again, and then you keep going, and hopefully you make it through. Because it's not a walk in the, I don't know. It's
not a competition. The first thing is, ufology is not a competition. Neither is spiritual.
They think so. I know,
there's no competition in spirituality or God or anything else. There's no division. There's no separation. There's no power struggles. There's no money games. It's just like, it's really simple when you get down to it. You're either in service to others, and you're focusing on universal law, or you're not.
Right. And then you can't,
serving, and you're going against universal law.
Buyer beware. If somebody's putting their ego and they're saying me, I, me, I, then you got the red light, your red flags should be going up everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of the native traditions don't have an I. They don't have a word for I. It's always we. because
Yes.
there's no division.
Or spirit.
Yeah.
It's never like they are, and that's good. Like that is good. That's definitely, because if spirit is making I'm going to trust it more than I might a human right now at this point. I mean,
We got to start trusting our inner sensitivity, our gut feeling.
absolutely.
And I mean, I look at these people. I just look at them and I see it in their eyes and I feel their frequency right off the bat. And I know everything about them. And we all should be able to do that. Every once in a while I get fooled, and I give people the benefit of the doubt. And then they show me that I shouldn't have,
Yeah. Me too.
And that happens, but I'm not going to change, but I am going to be a little wiser next time.
Yeah. It makes that right there has done the most damage, I think, because I feel like I'm skilled. And, I was trained for deception. I was, I have a forensic specialization and master's in psychology. If somebody can do it, then I feel like, man, I need to take a good reflection of myself now? Or is it some people are just that good that they go under the radar? But those are the ones you look out for. Right?
Yeah, exactly. See, a lot of Palladians incarnated here, and they come from a world where there is no deception. There is no, you never harm anybody or anything. It's not part of the reality. And they basically get their ass handed to them here on Earth. And then a lot of people that incarnate from the Orion Council of Light, they went through the Orion Wars and they had to deal with all the deception and the warring and everything else. And so they're street savvy, they're earth savvy. And then you have some people that are just full on warrior spirits, Andromedans are mythologically known as archangels and things like that. And there are people that have incarnated from those realms here, all those different realms. And that's why you have this big diversity. And then you have other people that have chosen, chosen the dark side. It's like Star Wars. There is a force, there's a dark force and a light force, and you choose.
You do get the choice.
Which one you're aligned with, and one has consequences.
Yep. And just because you chose the dark side doesn't mean that you're, it's just like it might be all fun and games now, but it's not going to end well for you.
Exactly.
There's hope for us yet, not for you.
Yeah. Like the universe always finds balance.
Yes, it does.
So you can never take something from another, what is theirs or keep it, keep what's not. It always balances out. So,
yep.
So, I mean, you're going to find yourself in one of these deserts naked with a buzzard following you.
And no water for miles and miles and miles.
I got in trouble for saying that once. I talked about this one leader and I go, yeah, he's going to find himself in a desert with.
And if you were on fire, I wouldn't put him out.
With a buzzard, starving with a buzzard, because of what he's done to all these other people. And somebody got really angry about that. You're judging the starving.
There's some things I feel like that are within our judgment, and that.
Yeah. I was just making a point. It doesn't mean.
Like you're not gonna literally. I mean, I would think about it maybe or rethink it if I actually saw him on fire, but
yeah.
So then you gotta get some of that out,
That whole politically correct thing, even spiritually correct thing that's all ego. That's all.
Love and light.
So, I love it. I love the politically and spiritually incorrect jokes. As a matter of fact,
I know you do. You're funny. You guys, I think it's funny. I do.
Because I know there's no judgment. How dare you? And I go, who are you? It's just like, God's laughing.
Yeah.
You're the master.
You're doing it.
I know. Chill out.
You gotta have some joy in this. You gotta have, light that. And if that's how I handle stuff, because I've learned, it's like the old George Carlin, like you cannot take everything so serious down here, or we're not making it out alive. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. True that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again, James, for coming on. And, it's always a pleasure to have you on over here. Everybody always asked about you and like your ventures, and I try and keep the audience up to date. We'll plan something for next week. You work on Peter and we'll get that going. I think
we've got some irons in the fire. They're going to blow people's minds.
Yeah.
And things are going to come out that they're going to go, holy shit. And the evidence and everything. So it's just going to be you know,
Absolutely.
a big
I love
bomb.
it when they underestimate. Let them
Yeah.
underestimate all day long. I'll take
Just
it.
because we're a little quiet doesn't mean we're not busy.
That's right. That's right.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Well, thanks again, James. Yeah, so what a great I always love James. He brings it every single time. He sent me some videos and I will get those out. And like I said, him and Corey will be back next week, and hopefully we can get Peter Maxwell and some other people and tricks up my sleeve. I love, that's like one of my favorite things to do is like to get guests. So tomorrow we have Pink Bella Aloha at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Mr. Daryl Sims, the Alien Hunter, for part 2 at 7 p.m. And then on so Tuesday, then we have Jay Michaels. So Jay, he's on the Recovery on the Men, so that will be a great show too. We have some awesome people coming up, so stay tuned, and I'll try and get that updated. And thank you so much for everybody in the chat, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the wrenches. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate it. You're doing amazing work, and I could not do any of it without you. So much appreciation to each and every one of you. And I guess that's really all I have for tonight. So thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. I'm Coley, and I've been your host tonight. If you like the show, please like, subscribe, share, comment, and hit that notification bell. But until next time.
SNX Radio invites you to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos with us as we dive into UFOs, cryptids, and everything otherworldly. As we navigate the night, we investigate the unknowns that spark our curiosity and challenge our understanding of reality.